All right, so everybody got their week 1 in front of them.
And it says you want to change your top, honey.
I did.
You didn't want to represent the music Titans.
You know what? When I leave here, I gotta go and get me a drink with my friends.
Okay, so you trying to get partially ready, huh?
Gotcha.
Okay, so before we start, did anybody just have any questions where this week was kind of like when they, whatever they read through was like, oh my God, I don't really understand this, or I'm gonna make sure I ask a lot of questions about this part. So did anybody run into, you know, kind of like a train wreck during this week? Not too much?
No, it was just me. I was just being crazy on the measure part. I was like, now, what am I measuring? Now, I looked over to the side. I'm like, oh, it's on this side and this
Oh,
side.
that's when you said I got it. Okay.
It threw me out too. I was like, all the way. It threw me out too. It took a minute, then it done on me. I was like, okay.
Okay. So a lot of things I did on purpose. So that was one of those things I did on purpose. That's one. Another thing I did on purpose was I purposely did not send a reminder until about 20 minutes before. And another thing I did on purpose, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was an answer that maybe was not in what you read, and you had to maybe Google it or search for it.
It was about 3 of them. It was
exactly. So that was not a mistake. That wasn't like, oh my gosh, she didn't put this in here. I didn't read it. No, you see, I told you it was on purpose.
Yeah.
And the reason I did that is because I want you to be able to exercise and use your critical thinking skills. Everything is not going to always be in front of you. It's not going to be the easy answer right here where I can flip and find it. Sometimes you're going to have to do research. So I wanted to introduce you to that, to week 1, because everybody here pretty much saying they want to go on to the next step of coding. So your answers are not always going to be cut and dry in front of you. You know, so I want you to get into the habit of having to research, look up, or do something other than just read and answer the question. So that was on purpose. That was not a mistake. Yeah, I wasn't crazy or nothing. It was not a mistake. So another thing I did, like I said, I purposely did not remind you until 20 minutes before because nobody's going to remind you, hey, it's class. That's why I gave you a calendar to tell you what time, what days, and all of that. As right now, actually, all 20 seats were sold for the class, and it's 3 students online. So, you know, it all goes back to your dedication, your determination, how bad you want it, how much you're going to sacrifice. Nobody's really going to hold your hand during this process. And this medical terminology class doesn't even scratch the surface of coding. So, you know, you're going to have to be disciplined, align yourself up. Nobody's going to hold your hand. Nobody's going to remind you. You know, I have to remind myself daily, because I'm taking another, you know, certification through the AAPC as well. Like, I did this, and this. I hadn't even logged in my class today. Like, nobody's going to send me an email and be like, hey, you hadn't logged in 2 days. Your assignment is due. You know, what are you doing? You know, so I just wanted to, you know, just give you that information as well. So, the person with the highest grade, and like I was telling the first person who joined, I'm going to send you back your graded papers after the class. The person with the highest grade will receive a gift card. Looks like everybody's doing well. So the gift card that I wanted to give out, I probably can't give out a $150 gift card for one person because it looks like everybody doing good. So whatever it is, I'm going to give a gift card at the end to the person with the highest grade. And then you'll get a certificate of completion for completing this 4-week medical terminology course. So here we go. We're going to start at the beginning of the overview for the introduction for medical terminology. All of us are on the line now are kind of little familiar with medical terminology. Whether you've had a medical job in the past or you have a degree in the medical field or just your general knowledge. So that's the good thing. Everybody really wasn't starting from scratch of the surface. And if they were, I tried to make it so self-explanatory that even if this was your first time medical terminology and learning, I tried to break it down to the easiest or simplest term. Did everybody feel like it was kind of easy or simple and I kind of explained everything well?
It was brought down pretty good. It was. Okay,
there it is. And then a lot of things kind of a light bulb makes sense and like, okay, I see you.
It did.
Okay, and what about you, Alexis and Anastasia? Did light bulbs come on with certain words?
Yeah, because a lot of them I use now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was for me. I still just gotta get the pronunciation. So for you to break it down how you did with sounding it out, that kind of helped me a little bit. But I need to.
Okay. Do you have a medical dictionary?
You know what? Do I?
That'll be good to have too.
Yeah,
But isn't a toast somewhere from medical assistant?
It is. If you've ever taken a medical assistant class, I'm pretty sure you got it in your little files or group of little stuff. Okay, so now we saw what the word root was. The word part that usually, but not always, indicate the part of the body involved. Did you notice how you can look at some of those words and you can automatically pick out and understand what body part they're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's how you know what the word root is. So combining forms, of course, a word root that has a vowel, usually the letter O, put on the end before the addition, for the addition of another word root or a suffix. So we've already read these. We already talked about how spelling is important because you can misspell one letter and it can be a totally different word that you're spelling. So spelling is very important when it comes to medical terminology and word parts. So now we're going to go over the word parts as far as to let you know different definitions. Like algia, we see that means pain, suffering. Dis is bad, difficult, or painful. Ectomy, surgery, removal, or cutting out. That was a good one to learn, being that a lot of surgeries at the end of it is going to be ectomy, tonsillectomy, or, appendectomy or things like that. So when you see ectomy on the end, you automatically know that they're surgically removing or cutting out something. Even if you don't know what the other word means or what body part they're talking about, if you see ectomy, you automatically know it's a surgical removal. So did that make sense?
It did.
Okay. So hyper, excessive or increased. When your blood pressure is high, when you go to the doctor, the technical term is not high blood pressure. They're going to say you got hypertension. So hyper is excessive or increased. So that's an example too. Hypo. Anybody can give me, you see where it says deficient or decreased or low. Can anybody give me an example for hypo?
I can't even make sure I pronounce
Something like low?
Yeah, just give me a word, a medical term that has hypo in it and tell me what it means.
Like hypothermia?
That's what I was thinking in my mind as well. That's what the word that I was going to say if I had to use the example. Hypothermia. You see what hypo means, deficient or decreased. Hypothermia means your temperature is decreased or low. So hypo, you see how it goes together. Itis, inflammation. Somebody give me an example of itis. Don't nobody say my example in my head. What you say?
Arthritis.
Okay, that's the example in my head. I guess that's the simplest one. Everybody in my head this afternoon. So arthritis. So that's how you know you have some kind of inflammation. If you see itis on the end, I don't care what the beginning is. If you see itis somewhere in that word or on the end, you know there's some kind of inflammation going on there. So ostomy, the surgical creation of an artificial opening to the body surfaces. So have you ever heard heard of a colostomy bag?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so that's what an ostomy is. You see how it says a surgical creation of an artificial opening. And if you have a colostomy bag, then you can't defecate out of your rectum. It comes into that bag. So they created a surgical opening and it's connected to their bag and it flows there. So if you see the word ostomy anywhere, like a colostomy bag or ostomy, you know that somebody created an artificial opening in that person's body to release something. Whether it's blood, waste, or whatever it is.
Would a heart murmur go in the category or no?
No, a heart murmur won't go into an ostomy.
Okay.
Plastic surgical, surgical repair. Rhinoplasty, surgical repair of your nose. So anytime you see plastic, it's some kind of surgical repair. So like hemorrhage, RHAGE, hemorrhage, bleeding, abnormal, excessive fluid discharge. So, zoom right. So anybody else want to give me any other example? Give me an example of RIA. Somebody I already know the most common. Give me the example.
Diarrhea.
Diarrhea. There it is. So you see how RIA